Your career is most likely not going to be a straight climb up a ladder. It's probably going to be more like a roller coaster.
It's a waiting game. Other people sometimes come in at higher roles than you while you're just sitting there coasting up the hill, click, clack.
What scares me is everybody that has to go and find another job in another industry right now that isn't going to want to come back to hospitality when the time comes. Yes, there'll be demand, but are there going to be people to actually work?
Welcome to the What Do You Stand For podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the What Do You Stand For podcast, the place where emerging leaders in hospitality come to be informed, inspired, and transformed. My name is Arthur Keith, and with me today is Jerry, a member of the squad. How are you, Jerry?
Hey, guys.
We have Alejandra.
Hello.
And, of course, we have the resident loudmouth troublemaker, Colin.
Hi, team. How's everybody going today?
I want to share with you, you guys have heard of Ian Strager, right? From Strager Hotels.
No.
Who was arguably the inventor of the boutique hotel concept back in the day. Alejandro, you might be a little young to know that, but no, he was certainly a revolutionary ahead of his time. And in a recent webinar I sat in on where he was a guest speaker, I walked away from there feeling really uplifted over the time that we're in where, you know, we often, I don't know about you guys, but I sit back and wonder, is this ever going to end? Will the industry ever recover from what we're going through? And he was really passionate about sharing that, hey, if you stop and really think about it, you think about, and he said, in the history of mankind, there's never been an incident that mankind has not bounced back from.
Love it.
We are bred
that is true.
to overcome and keep moving forward. And really, the question was around whether or not we were going to return to normal as an industry. He was just positively insistent upon the fact that absolutely, and the big reason why he was so convinced that we were going to return to normal at some point is because we as people want that. We won't settle for anything else. We're accustomed to living a certain way. And if you go back through history, we tend to bounce back. We tend to, fortunately and unfortunately, have short memories on the stuff that we went through, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
It's really short public memory.
Yeah. So the expectation is we're going to not settle until our industry returns back to normal. When people, those folks that want the big buffet aren't going to be happy until at some point, and it may be years down the road, but at some point the buffet will return.
Right.
But Arthur, aren't you worried? Like you say that, right? And I live in an optimistic world and I want to be, glass half full and sun is always shining. And that's really my personality. We've known each other a very long time, right? But to that point, what scares me even not about hospitality rebounding, right? But what scares me is everybody that has to go and find another job in another industry right now that isn't going to want to come back to hospitality when the time comes. Because there are other jobs out there, and we've all said it. We've never had an easier day than our first day outside of hospitality, right? They work 8 hours. I mean, I've never heard of such a thing, but that whole mindset. So now we have a place where most of the hospitality industry, and I don't care where you are, most of the hospitality industry is laid off or furloughed at this time, right? The percentage of people that are actually working in the industry is low. We actually always had a staffing issue in hospitality across the board. And now what happens when we come back, right? That's what really scares me. Yes, there'll be demand, but are there going to be people to actually work?
Great question, Colin. I think there's going to certainly be disruption in the labor force, but I think the best thing that we have going for us as leaders in hospitality is that the need for labor is not going to return like that. Business is going to slowly come back, and hey, I'm the optimist. As long as the need for labor or the ramp up back to people returning back to hospitality doesn't outpace the return of the labor of the hospitality, because right now there's the folks that were working in hospitality really want to come back. I believe is the bulk of them want to come back.
Right.
Yes.
So I really think from a labor standpoint, we're going to be okay. You're right. 5 years from now, will there be a percent that never return? Probably a good chance. But I would argue, what industry are they going to move to that haven't also been hit hard by COVID?
Right. Yeah.
Healthcare.
Retail.
Yeah, there's a lot of other places to go, but careers, there's long careers with hospitality where you can move and shift and move up and go into different departments. I would argue that some of those other paths maybe, don't look as if they have as lengthy opportunity.
Your career is most likely not going to be a straight climb up a ladder. It's probably going to be more like a roller coaster. And certainly we're in an interesting time now where it feels like all of us are taking some deep dives down there, waiting for it to bottom out so we can bounce back up.
When I was coming up, all I wanted to do was get ahead. Like out of college, it was how do I become a department head as quickly as possible.
Right.
That was it. It was on my mindset. And I had a goal of becoming a department head before I was 25, and it didn't matter how I got there. So I was department head for 24, right? Director of housekeeping in a 400-room hotel. By the time I was 24, 3 years in the business, I was very proud of myself. It was working. It was all great. And I will tell you that when it came to my next move, I pigeonholed myself in a place that it was really difficult to get to the next step.
Wow.
Because I didn't want to be a career director of housekeeping. I wanted to become a rooms manager and then a general manager and the whole thing. And when I found somebody who had enough faith in me to make me a front office manager without having any front office experience. And I will tell you, it was some of the roughest 18 months of my life because here I thought I knew how to be a leader, but I had no idea how to do the job. And I was young. I'm not, I wasn't, now it would be different. I could do it differently now only because of age, not because of experience. Experience in life, not experience in work. I would have go about it differently, but it was really difficult. And it was a good difficult, right? Because I look back fondly on that time now because all the different things that I learned.
That's some good stuff. Jerry, did you have something you wanted to share?
The trajectory of my career has been one of discovery. And I was thinking about it this morning and I thought, I've stepped up, stepped down, stepped to the side, stepped back for a second. There's different ways of getting to where you want to go. I mean, you want to be strategic about it, but there are some things that, like, for example, I was a director of catering conference services at two particular places. And then this was early in my career, and I went to Gaylord Opryland, and I took a step way down. It didn't have the salary, it didn't have the title, but it gave me the experience of being at a big box, and I really got to grow in that position, which then the next position found that experience very valuable. That's awesome. I took a step back in order to take a step forward. So when you're looking at career trajectory, it's not always a direct up. So what do you guys think? And what have been some of your trajectories that you've seen as you've grown in your careers, or Allie, as you're growing in yours?
Clearly, I don't think I have any crazy stories like that. There's been no sideways, but a story that popped into my mind was when I was really new to my company. I'd only been about 2 years and I just finished an internship with them and I was new to the front desk and I really wanted to be a coordinator, right? I wanted to be that assistant role at the front desk. I wanted to wear the blue suit and teach and help. That's what I really wanted to do. And I finally got the job. I was super excited. It's just a promotion. I got paid like $1 extra. So that was super exciting.
That's awesome.
And I remember I had a leader at the time, she was my boss, come up to me and say, so we're thinking of you to do this job permanently. So I, at that time, would do that job like maybe 1 or 2 days a week just to fill in for shift coverage. And then most of the time I was just a concierge. And I said, I don't want that.
There you go.
And it's because I really wanted the opportunity to work in the club concierge. And I really wanted the opportunity to continue the training course that I was teaching. I wanted the opportunity to do operations. And I was still really getting all that under my belt. And she was like, well, if you don't want this role permanently, then clearly you don't want to be a leader.
Oh my word.
And clearly you're never going to go anywhere if you don't take this role in this position.
I don't like that at all.
I cried a lot because I was nervous that I had just ruined my opportunity to be a manager, to get that salaried role. And eventually I did. And eventually I was her peer. And I really wanted to say I told you so, but I didn't. So I guess for me, like when it comes to trajectory, the answer is there's no right or wrong way to do it. There were other people on my team who took that role and they became managers, and that's just the way they did it. I went about it a different way. Maybe it was a little more roundabout. But got to do with the things that help you learn. And I felt like I still had so much to learn.
I definitely agree with that.
And her, though, for saying that to you.
That's neat.
Yeah, but we learn from bad bosses too. So I will say that I did learn a lot from her. And we have since then mended our relationship. After I became her peer, gave me a little extra courage.
Good for you.
But I learned a lot from her. She actually helped me with my resume.
Awesome.
I would caution people to do what you said, Jerry, right? Sometimes you take a back step to go forward, right? Sometimes you have to take a side step to go forward. And I think that every step along the way is valuable. And I would absolutely suggest that people don't try and rush it without learning from each step that you take.
Oh, I agree with that 100%.
I like how you say, don't pigeonhole yourself. I think it's so easy to get caught up in that. And
it's hard.
Yeah.
Once you get in that. So I've always been like you, Colin, very ambitious and inspired to achieve as much as I could in the least amount of time. And, one thing I learned very, very early on in the hospitality field was that if you want to grow fast, and I hate to tell this to people, I really hate it, but if you fast in this industry, you have to move. You have to go someplace else. You have to jump companies, if you will. Not jump companies. True. I'm not talking about moving every 5 minutes. I'm saying get the experience that you need. And if you don't see a trajectory upward in the company that you are in, or it looks like it's going to be super slow, then take the experience that you have, build on it, be deliberate and strategic in gathering that experience that you want, and then take yourself to the next level. Yeah. At the next, company. Now, I did that when I was at Gaylord Opryland. The first time it would have taken me forever to grow up in that company.
Definitely.
And then I went out and got my experience, and then I came back at a director level. But I've noticed that people who stay with the same company forever, they grow very slowly. But I think that there are pros and cons to both of those things. There are sacrifices to both of those things, moving up and moving on and changing states versus staying in one place, your whole career and having a community outside of work. But if you want to grow fast in title and in money, my suggestion is get your experience and take it elsewhere.
No, that's so interesting because I've been with only one company and my executive level is impossible right now. And even before that, it took me so long to get to be a salaried role. And I worked my way up. I did all the right steps. I got special training programs. I was always that up and coming person. But it's always a waiting game.
Oh, yeah.
But it's interesting and frustrating because there is so much importance placed on like tenure with a company and knowing the culture of the company. And then to see other people sometimes come in at higher roles than you, how you handle that, how those new leaders have to learn some of that stuff. And I guess their trajectory, that roller coaster ride for them is different. While you're just sitting there coasting up the hill, click, clack, click, clack, and they're on that roll. They're already downward. They're going. So
I agree. Learning the culture of one company is awesome. Learning the way one company does something is awesome. But if you learn the way another company does it, now you're learning how not to do it and how to do it. And you're learning what works for some companies and don't work for others. And so you're compiling, if you will, your toolbox of ways to achieve greatness in
well-rounded
hospitality, right? And you become more rounded.
Yeah, both of those point of views are great ways to have a career in the industry, which is one of the things that's cool about the industry. And I know lots of people that have been with one company and have just grown with one company, whereas others have hopped. And I think it really comes down to the thing I would suggest, regardless of if you're A or B, in terms of the two scenarios, always be open to find an experience where it's going to push you and you're going to continue to grow.
Yep.
Exactly.
Colin, you said something along the lines of you thought you were a great leader, but you didn't know the job when you moved into the front office area. And I would suggest you would probably, having spent time in housekeeping, had developed some leadership skills. You learned the job of housekeeping. you moved to the front office, those leadership skills you had acquired in housekeeping were transferable to the front desk area, because leadership skills are about people and relationships. So you brought those skills with you, and then there was a period of time for you to learn the job. But once you make that leap the first time and have some success, it gets easier the third and fourth and future times you do it, because you learn that the technical side of the business is not the driver. It just isn't. It's the people side.
I look at it a little bit differently, right? And I mean this from a hospitality perspective. I believe that housekeeping itself, right, and truly lean on the people focus part of hospitality. So I would include the kitchen. I would include a lot of the food and beverage positions, a lot of the back of the house positions. Right. I look at those places on where you learn how to become a leader, and that's what's going to make you successful. And then as you move to the front of the house, it becomes managing people and managing the business. And where I think and just being transparent is I didn't know the job of the people. I was thrust into a position that I accepted, and they took a chance on me and they saw enough in me to make it work. But I did not make the transition well because I didn't know the job of the people, nor did I understand the job of the business, right? As a front office manager. And listen, again, at this point, I am probably, maybe I'm 25, or maybe I'm 26. I'm somewhere in there. And I was much younger and certainly much bigger headed and far more obstinate. Don't anybody laugh, than I am now.
Is that possible?
Right?
More obstinate?
Far more obstinate. But to that point, Arthur, you're absolutely right. Those skills are transferable. By move number 3, it was much easier, right? By move number 4, it was much easier.
Yeah.
And now I believe that there's so much that I wouldn't care about in terms of my transition. It would be all about how do I manage the people. But it all happened at a place where I wasn't necessarily ready to do it, right? Which is goes back to the story of why I would never suggest skipping that step. But I also didn't, and to your point, and now that I'm thinking it through, I also didn't have a leader back then that gave me the support that I would have needed to be successful. I would not have managed me at that time that same way.
Wow. All the difference, right? Makes all the difference.
Yeah, so learnings from that, you're an emerging leader, you're trying something new, find that mentor that can help you walk through that. If you're an emerging leader, you're growing, challenge yourself, step out of your comfort zone. If you've been a front of the house person all your life, try a back of the house role. If you've been a rooms person all your life, try a food and beverage role, and vice versa. It will grow you. Yeah. You'll become an even stronger leader, and it opens up career options for you down the road.
That's right.
I was blessed early on in my career. I worked for some leaders. They were all about, and here's how they kind of frame it. You look at early in your career, each experience is a building block, right? You learn a position, that's a building block. And the way I was taught was you wanted to, early in your career, develop a broad base of experiences. And a lot of those experiences were lateral moves. They weren't necessarily promotions. So instead of, if I can paint this visual, you'd have 4 or 5 blocks along the same level, but you'd have experiences in a lot of different areas versus, hey, if you were in just one area and you get promoted, you build a structure that's straight up, but it doesn't have a very wide base.
It's not easy.
Long term, having a broader base serves you better than just a tall tower with no base.
In the construction world, we call that a foundation, Arthur. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, thank you for painting that picture in one word. Although I think my building blocks are, I don't know, I'm still back in my crib as a young infant.
Yeah, toddler. No, I love that, Arthur. And I think that, if I had my entire career to do over again, one of the things I would do differently is I would have found a mentor. I didn't.
Ugh. That should be a whole nother podcast, man.
I didn't look for one. I know, because I looked for one, and I did not even know they existed. I didn't know anyone would take someone on. I was that naive about it in the beginning.
I've never had a mentor.
Well, look for one and find.
Hey, Allie.
Yeah.
I'll be your mentor.
Cool.
I'll be your mentor.
Thanks, Colin.
Just call me.
Hey, Allie, you can always call me.
Yeah.
I think it's different because you're my dad.
I know.
It doesn't work the same way.
Got at least non-relative.
I think you're right. It is so important. I didn't know what a mentor was until I was already a leader.
Wow.
Yeah. I was just like, can you sign this paper so I can go to the interview? Is what I asked my boss.
I think that's a good note for us to end this episode on. Once again, reach out and find that mentor. I think the interesting thing you're going to find right now is that there are people out there who have time to teach, share.
Excellent.
So reach out. LinkedIn's a powerful tool. If you don't know somebody, just if you see someone on LinkedIn who's got a profile that you think you may learn from, connect with them, ask. It never hurts to ask.
I want to add one thing.
Yes.
Offer to be a mentor too.
Yeah.
Yes.
So regardless of your route, right, you can still be an emerging leader and still in what you believe is the beginning of your career, but there's certainly somebody out there that you can mentor as well. And the feeling of self-satisfaction makes it all worth it.
It does.
Agreed.
I agree.
Colin, I love you, man. You weren't going to let us leave without that final golden nugget to be offered today.
It's a nugget.
That's good. That's
nugget,
good.
Baby.
That's the bonus golden nugget offered.
Of the squad.
It's like the cherry on the top.
Cherry on the top. Good point. As always, you can reach out and connect with us. Feel free to go to arthurkeith.com. Go to the Ask Arthur page. Connect with us. You can connect with members of the squad. Ask questions. We love questions. And we look forward to connecting with you down the road on a future podcast. Thank you.
Ciao, everyone.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Boop-a-doop.
Look for us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Find the links on arthurkeith.com. What do you stand for?